Hey, Chris, Jonathan Alexander with the Charlotte Observer. I hope you're doing well.
Doing well, thanks, Jonathan.
Good, good, good. I was wondering, what attracted you to this job, and what do you think about the potential of this special teams?
Well, I was excited. My wife says I've only been a cold weather coach my entire life, but to be able to come down here, I've watched Carolina from afar, and have had a lot of crossover tape, and I could always see that they had a plan of what they wanted to do, and got a lot of respect for that and what they've done. So, just wanted to join it. I'm excited to be here, and it's a great opportunity for me.
So, what do you think about what you all have there at punter Zane and now Johnny? You bring him.
No, I'm excited about those guys. Obviously, Johnny just acquired him. He has a great reputation. Has been a great punter in this league. So feel real fortunate that he's here. And then obviously Zane had a really nice year last year. I was actually in Cleveland when we drafted Zane. So it's kind of nice to see. I remember him when he was young, and now he's going into his sixth year, just to kind of see how he's changed and developed and those things. So I'm excited to have the opportunity to work with those guys and hopefully do good things.
All right, we'll go to Jason Brown, followed by Darren Gate.
Hey, Coach. This is Jason Brown with Spectrum News 1 here in Charlotte. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Listen, obviously a lot of fans, they just focus on special teams when something goes wrong, a missed kick or a winning kick or whatever else. But, I mean, there's so much more to special teams and the impact it can have on games. Can you sort of speak to, I guess, what the playoff teams, the upper echelon teams, like the role that special teams plays with those organizations and what it can mean for Carolina?
Well, I think yes, it is true. We have a tendency to get noticed when things go bad, so we always say, "Hey, if they're not talking about us, we're doing a nice job." But I think you saw in the playoffs there was a lot of big special teams plays, set and field position. Obviously, as you get into the playoffs and later on in the year, and the weather's changing, regardless of where you're at. Obviously playing outside, but you got to set field position. You got to have short fields, and it might be something that you have a big return, and maybe you don't score off of that drive, but you set the field position, then you pin them down there, and then you play defense, and the ball comes right back to you. And you end up scoring on the other possession. Everything all kind of ties in together. That's our job, is to handle that, and we want to be aggressive but not reckless, and that's the world we live in.
Is there a particular ingredient or key to what makes a good special teams? And obviously that could be obviously the kicker itself or the punter, or just how you guys are able to block and tackle on a kickoff or a punt or something like that.
No question. I mean, the game is all about field position at the end of the day. And can you handle the field position? Can you set field position? Those are critical things. And then can you make big plays during the game? For example, kickoff return. The reason they're kicking off to us is because they just scored, most likely. So the momentum has swung their way. We need to stop that and then reestablish it back on our side. So I think there's a lot of things that people don't talk about. Obviously, it's easy to talk about a made kick or a missed kick and those type of things. But when you're talking setting field position and putting other teams in tough spots, that's our job, and that's what we need to do.
Chris, Darren Gant from Panthers.com. Good to see you. When you walk in here with kind of a blank slate at punter, what was it about Johnny Hecker that made you say, okay, that's the guy I want?
Well, I've played against him a bunch of times, and I've lost a lot of sleep playing against him. So that was first and foremost there. He's a great athlete. Obviously, he's been one of the best punters in the league. If you think about it, if you just look at him statistically, last year the Rams only had 9 punts returned against them the entire year. Most teams, you're probably anywhere from the 35 to 40 range there. So just him taking away returners because punt location. But the other thing is he's being such a great athlete, he can throw the football now, and that opens up a lot of doors, and it challenges you as a coach also to be creative with him, because you have to play defense first as a punt return team, and he creates problems, and I'm really glad that he's here as opposed to facing them.
Yeah. I also wanted to ask you about Zane. You mentioned having him as a rookie. When you looked at his film from last year, why do you think he was so much more consistent last season?
Well, he's obviously matured quite a bit. And I think, anytime, having him as a rookie, and Zane and I talk about this all the time, there's a process for those guys that they go through. I mean, think about it. They have a great college career, and right after their college career, they have to prepare for the combine. From the combine, they have a lot of individual workouts with teams hoping to get drafted, and then they get drafted and they make a team. Then they have to prove their worth, and then they finally make it to the season, and the season starts. That's a lot of game days for those guys. I see a player now that's matured. He's changed the way that he looks, body type wise, and you can tell he's become a pro, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to work with him, and hopefully it'll be fun.
Okay, next up we'll go to Mike Solarte, followed by Ellis, and then Joe.
Thanks, Jordan. Hey, Coach. Mike Solarte, Spectrum News 1. Welcome to Charlotte.
Thank you.
You talked about the importance of field position and the changing of momentum, but when it comes to the entire special teams unit, do you need guys that are more coachable, or do you need guys that will buy in more to what you're trying to do? Because when you think of coverage teams and that sort of thing, I mean, it's pretty intense watching those guys run down to cover a kick and prevent a return. Do you need guys who buy into that mentality?
Sure, but I think first and foremost, you just need good football players, and then from there you find their skill set, what they do, what they can and cannot do, and then try to accentuate those positives. But with regards to the buy-in, we all have a job to do, and if that's your job, I need you to perform your job at the highest level. To me, it's not about buying in, and my job is to make it fun and all those things. But if you have a job, you need to do your job, and that's how I look at it. So to me, it's real easy.
Hey, Coach. Ellis Williams here, Charlotte Observer. Welcome to Charlotte.
Thank you.
I'm wondering if you can talk about how important this time is for you, not only as a new coach in the building, but as a special teams coordinator. Spending time with the guys, getting to know them during these voluntary off-season workouts, considering as the special teams coordinator, you need to know the roster as well as a personnel guy or a GM, since, there's not really a guarantee on what guys you may have available each week.
No question. I mean, first and foremost, when I got here, you pop on the tape and you start studying guys, and you're studying guys by number. And because I don't know who they are yet. Now that they're here, it's been a lot of fun. It's also challenging because I'm trying to learn them. They tell me who they are, and I always have to say, "Hey, what number are you?" And they tell me, and then we begin to develop the relationship. And they have to be able to trust me. I have to be able to trust them. So we're going through that process. It's a fun process. For me, it's kind of like going back to school the first day. And you're in a new classroom and setting new standards, and you're going to have new people to work with. But at the end of the day, after the draft and all those things, there's going to be 90 players on the team. And then, after camp, we'll get down to 53. And what we always tell them is we say, hey, I want them to make the Carolina Panthers team. If they don't make our team, I want them to make somebody else's team. So we all have the same goal. And, for me, it's a privilege to be that's why you get into coaching, is to help guys. And I'm looking forward to the relationships that we're working on building right now, and hopefully help them accomplish the goals, their personal goals that they want to do.
Thank you.
Chris, it's Joe Person with the Athletic here in Charlotte. Good to see you today.
Good to see you.
Wondered if during free agency you had a hand in kind of helping figure out a couple of core special teams guys you wanted to bring in, and that, in fact, you guys did bring in.
Oh, I don't think it was anything that I did. I think that one thing that we do great here that I've learned quickly is we all work together really well. You know, with the front office and the coaching staff, we're all on the same page. So to me, we just had great normal discussions, and I think that up front we've done a great job with getting guys in here that can help us win.
There are a couple of those guys you could mention that you really think will end up being these type guys.
Well, to be honest, not to dodge your question, you're going to find out I don't like singling out anybody because I don't want to, put anybody in that type of position. Because just as I explained earlier, to me it is about 90 players, and I know what their goals are, and I want to help them achieve their goals. So if I said something, then I've already kind of preconceived notions, and I never want to do that. I'm an open slate on everything, so looking forward to working with everybody.
Yeah, I understand that. Last thing, you mentioned Johnny and only 9 punts returned last year. Where do you come down on kickoffs? If you've got a guy who can bury it into the end zone, are you good with that, or do you kind of like the directional game, or is it a kind of a mix?
Well, no, I think it's a mix. There's a lot of factors that go in that, but I like playing football and I like covering kicks, and there's going to be times you kick touchbacks. There's a lot of factors. Just a lot of factors that we could spend hours on. But as I said, I think that our style is an aggressive style, but we're going to play with good judgment. We want to be a tough physical team, but it's smart. And I think when you do that, you become very competitive. So that's what we're looking to do, and hopefully we can get that done.